Hey, thanks for your continued support as we work hard to bring you cutting-edge discussions from the essential voices of the aftermarket. You know, we get new listeners every week. And you know why? It's because you recommend the podcast to friends, and I thank you for that. Get ready to listen to three lady shop owners that will speak to marketing to women. They'll offer their perspective on margins and cost management, how the pandemic has made important changes, and even how it changed their hiring process. Will you agree with their insights or take exception to their ideas? I'm with Jamie Carlson from Ervine's Auto Repair, who was honored as the Female Shop Owner of the Year 2019 from Auto Care's Woman in Auto Care. Emily Chung is here from Auto Niche in Markham, Ontario, and Rachael Wacha from City Auto Repair in Gainesville, Florida. Hey, welcome. Carm Capriato here, your host of Remarkable Results Radio, the Town Hall Academy, and AftermarketWeekly.com. Before we dive deep into this episode with Emily, Jamie, and Rachael, I'd like to thank my sponsor, Napa Gold Certified, for their support and for making this show available to you. And we're proud to partner with Napa Auto Care and the 2020 Napa Expo. Join Napa, including suppliers, industry experts, and your peers in Las Vegas, February 1st through the 4th, 2021. Now, it is the place where you're going to discover the latest news and industry information available anywhere. Contact your Napa store for the details and how to enroll. Hey, I've got a survey up at remarkableresults.biz/survey. It's very short, and I welcome your input. Thank you so much if you've already replied. It's only going to take about 4 minutes to help me discover your likes and needs as we continue to drive the podcasting needs of the aftermarket.
For me, though, you know what? The pandemic was, in and of itself, it's not a great thing. At the same time, I look at it as it was such a great blessing in the sense that it equalized the whole playing field, at least in my area. All of a sudden, we had equal amounts of time. We had equal amounts of opportunity. Dealerships were closing in my area for a set time because of the retail side. And so it was just such an opportunity.
I'm so glad you are coming to the well for the best aftermarket talk radio that goes beyond your expectations. Just think about the other podcasts or talk radio you listen to. Now, I hope that we're bringing you quality and specific business acumen. It's always on demand, free and available 24/7. This is pure aftermarket networking at your pace. If you aren't listening on your mobile device right now, get your hands on a free listening app at remarkableresults.biz/listen. There you'll find links to Apple or Google Podcasts, among others. Exciting news, we are now on Amazon Music. Yeah, Amazon Music. And you can find us on your Google Assistant or on your Google Nest device. Enjoy the insights wherever you go. Now, here's Shop Talk 9 with Emily, Rachael, and Jamie. Hey, a warm welcome to Jamie Carlson, Emily Chung, and Rachael Wacha. Yeah, it's Shop Talk 9, and it's another ladies panel. And, when I reached out to these three ladies and they all said yes within a little bit, I got excited because anytime someone says yes right away, I want to come on. And I said, oh, by the way, it's unscripted. And they still said yes because we have no idea what we're going to talk about. Who's with me is Jamie Carlson from Ervine's Auto Repair, husband Eric in the business together, Female Shop Owner of the Year 2019 from the Woman in Auto Care.
Hi, Carm.
Hey, Jamie, we recorded that episode when you won your award back at Apex last year. Emily Chung is with us from Auto Niche in Markham, Ontario, licensed automotive service technician because they need to be in Canada, right?
In Ontario, at least, yeah.
In Ontario, at least. Teaches at the Automotive Business School of Canada at Georgian College. And Emily and I did a fantastic episode, number 567, on the woman stereotype creates friction, insecurity, and gender issues. She's very outspoken on that, and I just loved that episode. Thank you so much for that, Emily. And Rachael Wacha is with us, City Auto Repair, Gainesville, Florida, involved in ASA, Florida, right?
Yep.
We did a one-on-one, episode 256. She came on a Town Hall Academy, Ask the Shop Owner, and she bought the business from your dad, your parents?
Yep, I sure did.
I love family successions and great. And I have to tell you something. If you want to hear a very warm, heartwarming story, I loved your story, episode 256, where Rachael she was as transparent as I could ever ask a guest to be about how this whole family transition worked and earnings and, where she came from and the struggle she had earlier in her life. And it's just great. And it just shows the kind of incredible people that we have in our business. Now, ladies, since we're unscripted, let's start somewhere. Let's talk about marketing to women and how are you doing it and how you see marketing to women going on in your world.
We bought our shop about, in 94. And the first thing that we did then was clean it. I painted it and there wasn't any more smoking in the lobby. So over the years, people still come in and say, it's just so clean in here. I know it's not that clean, but it's, there's kind of like some custom painting on the wall and it's just, I think it feels good. I think that also attracts male customers. To us, it was kind of upgrading it to maybe not the do-it-yourselfer who they don't need to come to us. But in many ways, I think that it's not just to attract women, it's to attract the kind of customer that's going to be the most satisfied with the service we offer. And that happens to be women a lot of the time.
We have to understand that cleanliness is a part of sales. So when you walk into a mom and pop shop and you see the floors are 30 years old and you really have to pee, right? You are terrified to go into that bathroom. I love seeing this sense of satisfaction that someone gets, like they walk out of the bathroom, oh my God, it's so much cleaner than I expected it to be, So I 100% agree with you. I think that definitely eliminates the do-it-yourselfers or the people that they don't care, about, I don't know, just the little things that really do matter. And cleanliness and doing the renovations and the upkeep are important. Now, I'm not saying go buy a pink toolbox and put it out front and, push the women's side of it. I think that you add masculinity and cleanliness together and it becomes something that everyone is attracted to.
I remember when I first started my shop, my youngest one was still potty training. So I had I was totally motivated to have this washroom clean. So I know that we have gotten comments about our washroom. Is so interesting because I'm thinking of all things you're looking at, right? But how you do one thing is how you do everything in my mind. So, because we're clean, we have a clean shop, then, I think it just speaks to the quality of service that we have. So that's definitely something that we changed or that we were very intentional about when I first started the shop.
Are you guys slanting your marketing in any way toward women, or is that just the wrong thing to do? It should be gender neutral, shouldn't it?
I personally don't, but
I don't either.
We don't, but I think that, we rely heavily on our reputation on Google. And when you inspire women to post how wonderfully they're treated and how respected they are, I think that goes a long ways. Google is like a matchmaker for us. I think if people read all those reviews, and they come to us, they're more likely to come to us and we're going to work out together, okay? Because they've kind of gotten to know us before they come in.
So a couple things. One, being the owner of the shop. My husband doesn't work with me. That's often a question. And then people want to know if I'm a mechanic. No. I market, I guess, myself. I don't think it's wrong. I'm the owner, so I want people to know who I am. I want them to know what I look like. So if they see me out front, they say, oh, that's Rachael, so my pictures are on Google. They're on the website. I also think that in marketing to women and doing it the right way, because there's definitely a wrong and a right way, one of the ways that I found that worked really well is doing car care clinics, free car care clinics, and bringing, say, a sorority group of women into the shop. And you teach them how to change a spare tire, how to check their fluids, what worn parts are and what new parts are, and why they're important. If you can educate them, you actually empower them. And I have gained so many customers through that by doing something that it's rewarding to me because I'm giving them something that they thought was so scary, and it's really not that scary, right? So I think that would be a stronger way to market to women if you're going to do it and have honesty and integrity.
I love the whole idea of putting yourself out front. Emily, do you include yourself in your marketing?
I mean, my face is there. You can, in the shop, we have a picture and I'm there. I don't intentionally do it because for me, I'm trying to actually separate myself from the brand. to me, Auto Niche is the brand itself. And the other thing too is I'll be very honest, I'm naturally very introverted. And so the thought of me being out there is just crazy. So as much as possible, I try not to. and that just means that I get to be more intentional about passing through my values, the way how I communicate, the way how, I envision my business to my staff so that they can then, demonstrate that to the clients, right? So I have a bit of a different approach in the sense that I am trying to kind of get separated from Auto Niche. The other thing I would say about the marketing pieces and stuff, I think about, okay, when I hear about, because there's a lot of training out there talking about, marketing to women and they're the decision makers and all this stuff. And so when I look really deeply at those things, what they're trying to get at is, these universal values that we have of honesty, communication, being true to your word, right? So when you promise a car at a certain time, you give it to them at a certain time, or those kind of things, right? And I'm thinking, surely men must appreciate this too. So, my communication and marketing is all based on the values and not necessarily, what Rachel said about paint toolboxes and whatever. Like, it's not about that. So that's sort of how we positioned it at the shop too. And then I love the ladies' car care clinics because you're right. You do give them a lot of information and you kind of empower them. And what I would say is that it's, at least in my area, there's a lot of guys who have no idea too. And so sometimes we will hold, co-ed ones too. I mean, they could tell me more about their cell phone than they could tell me about their car, really,
I have to say that thank you for going where you did, Emily, because my next question was going to be, okay, ladies, let's tell the men shop owners out there how to market. And it doesn't mean because you're not a female shop owner that you can not get females to visit the shop. And I think it goes back to something you all said about the cleanliness and, it's that first impression. Yeah, the first impression is important in the marketing and social media, but it bears witness when you come into the place and make it friendly for all. I mean, what guy and or lady wouldn't want a clean restroom and no dirt and dust on the counter, even if they're not coming into your building because of the pandemic, but just the grass in the cracks of the driveway, all of that is image building.
When we were speaking about, I think, for opportunities for women in this industry even, when Eric and I bought Ervine's, I was still a stay-at-home mom. And, it's always, do you do the books for your husband? I just kind of laugh at that now. And it almost gets to me more if a woman asks it, or I think it's insulting to our industry. You can't just be a technician and have someone do your books. And this is so evolved in the last 25 years, I think, with marketing attempts. It's different what you have to market. I don't think men would have dared to say, I don't really like going to that shop because it's not very clean 25 years ago. 25 years ago, you wouldn't have walked in and said, I really would not like to come in here because of the cigarette smoke. Everybody expects more, and I don't think it's an elevated experience. It's just different. The industry has changed, and I think the attempts that we have to make at marketing are so much more than it used to be. It used to be the yellow pages, and that was about it.
One more thing, Carm, that I don't want to forget on this call is that, my sense from, Jamie, Rachel, and myself too, is that we honor our employees too. So having a clean work environment, yeah, it's for the clients. Yes, absolutely. At the same time, it's for us. I don't want to work in this place, and I honor my employees enough, my staff enough, that I don't want them to work in, an unclean environment too, right? So I think as a business owner as well, it's not just, yes, we talk a lot about customers and stuff, but it really is about taking care of our people too.
So well said. Thank you for that. Carm here, and coming up, Rachael Wacha talks about getting video resumes from candidates. Hey, it's Carm here. Today, I have a special message for Napa Auto Care Centers who are looking to take the next step in growing their business and partnership. Now, if you're ready to strive and take it to the next level, Napa invites you to consider Gold Certification. Gold Certification is a premier tier of Napa Auto Care that recognizes repair shops with a higher level of participation in the Auto Care program. The program was built by Auto Care Centers for Auto Care Centers to provide a consistent consumer experience, maximize technology leverage, and reward Napa's most committed partners. When consumers visit a gold-certified auto care center, whether it's a small facility in a rural community or a multi-bay shop in a large metropolitan area, they can expect a first-class service repair experience. This includes a well-trained staff using today's technology and quality Napa parts in a comfortable, up-to-date facility. Customers at gold-certified shops will also enjoy an extended parts and labor warranty, valuable saving opportunities, along with access to credit to pay for needed repairs, and a whole lot more. Here's what you need to qualify for the program. First, you need to be an active auto care partner for at least 12 months and have a steady business presence in your market for at least 2 years. Then to become gold certified, it's necessary to meet specific requirements, chosen because they create the most consistent consumer experience and proven to generate the most significant results for auto care centers across the country. Some of these include using digital vehicle inspection, having at least one ASE Master Certified technician, a co-branded exterior, and offer consumer financing through Napa Easy Pay. You must also be an active member of a business development group. Once your shop achieves gold certification, you'll receive a number of benefits, including priority placement on Napa's shop locator pages, an allowance for marketing funds, 3636 peace of mind and local labor coverage, access to auto tech training, Napa Track's shop management system, smart sign digital menu board, and more. Talk with your servicing Napa store to find out everything you need to know about becoming a gold certified shop. Any advice that you could offer on margins, cost management, anything that you're working on to continue to improve your financial positions?
I would say don't take advice from me because I'm still learning from somebody else. We happen to have joined a smart group through WorldPac 2 or 3 years ago, and it has been phenomenal for us. It's probably the biggest thing we've ever done for our business. Find your smart group, 20 group,
networking group. Absolutely. You almost can't do business without networking, 20 groups, or having a coach consultant with you on board.
Our leader is also a coach, Cecil. So some people do better maybe just finding a coach and working with them. These were things like that I had heard at classes. I think I told you that, Carm, 10, 15 years ago, and thought, you just can't do that. It was without a deep enough understanding. And it's my philosophy has even changed it. And it's like, we have to do this to take care of our company so our company can take care of all of us and so that people will want to go into this career.
What happened to your business because of it?
We're profitable. I think we used to just, kind of like, well, if there's enough money or we can't pay anybody more, we can pay technicians even more. I think we used to feel, and we still do, that we're one of the top paying companies out there. I have been more continually interviewing technicians just to kind of keep that relationship open. I cannot believe how poorly dealerships are compensating technicians. I've just been having more conversations, and it's atrocious how they're treating them. So there's good ones out there looking.
There's only one way you could pay the top dollar, and that is that you're earning the right margins and managing your costs. I mean, you can't do it any other way. Too many people are out there saying, woe is me, I can't find anybody, can't pay them, I can't make any money. And think of the number of people that have turned themselves around in the last 5-6 years because, as you said earlier, they got smarter. And they actually took all that great advice that they were getting and they did something with it.
And when one person stands up in front of a room and tells you to do it, it doesn't have the impact of when we would go to our group meetings for our smart group. And when people are telling you what they've done, and it was really odd to get there and everybody's numbers are up on the board, which I'm a very private person in that respect. That was the only way for us to properly diagnose what was going on with our business and fix it.
And the support that you get too, right? From the other members.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
You have the same experience, Emily?
Yeah. So, I'll be the first to admit my shop is, it's a work in progress every day. So in terms of margins and all this stuff, we're still definitely working at it. And since day one, I've always had a coach of some sort, training of some sort, performance group of some sort. It's the same thing. And even to this day now, I'm part of, training group 2. And, I say it and I know it, and then actually doing it is another I still have moments where I'm like, oh, but one of the biggest things for me was not following the list price or not getting hung up on the list price from the parts supplier, right? Because they'll give you your cost and they tell you, oh, list is whatever. And as much as I know this is a made up, as much as I know that, there's moments when I'm still like, ooh, but that's just my own inside thought.
Ladies, I have to stop you. I have to tell a story that happened to me 20 years ago. Many know that I was in the distribution business, right? And so I would go to a shop owner and he was having an argument with me about profitability and buying from my company. I said to him, I said, listen, take my cost and put a matrix margin on it. You've got to make what you need to make in your own company. He says, what do you mean? I have to charge a list price. I said, what do you mean you have to charge list price? I have to charge list price. What was so interesting is that a competitor down the road lowered his list price to compete with me. He didn't lower his cost. It was actually higher. But this customer came to me and he goes, look at your list prices are so high. Theirs are lower. So the supplier compressed his margin. He sold at list price. He couldn't pay his bills, wasn't making any money. And I said to him, I says, where'd you ever learn that? And he said to me, the Federal Trade Commission says I have to charge list price. Well, I did something I shouldn't have done. I went crazy, got on my soapbox, and he says, you leave. And so I got kicked out of the business because I was trying to tell him some great logical common sense of business practices. So thank you, Emily, for at least bringing up the fact that you have to charge what you have to charge. And it goes back to some of the arguments. I go to the dealer and, and I have to charge the dealer list or the dealer whatever, and I can't make any money on dealer parts. Who says you can't make money on dealer parts if you just apply your matrix margins to it?
The dealer list price for their part is not necessarily what the dealer charges when they install them at the dealership either.
We all are going to have different margins. We're all yes, at the end of the day, we all need net, right? And 20% sounds great, but we don't pay with percentages. So in order to be correct on the margins and keep the customers coming in, my understanding is that you look at your median income in your area. So say it's $40,000, right? You have to understand that you can't charge 2 times or 2.5 times for the part, right? Because nobody's going to want to buy it for you because they can go to, the part store down the road and purchase it themselves for way less and they don't care about a warranty. Couple other things. Your labor costs. When I first started working for my dad, I think our labor rate, now this is 10 years ago, was maybe $70 an hour. I'm now up to 115. The dealerships in my area just now have gotten up to 150. So what I recommend is if you're looking at margins, don't just go off of what one specific coach says, or, you know what I'm saying? You have to address it in your area because I'm different than if you were to go to New York City, right? It's totally different margins. Our goal is to keep the customer, to gain the customer, and to not let them walk away without getting the repairs. So in order to do that, you have to drop your margins sometimes. You have to adjust to keep the customer because how much money do we spend on getting a customer in the door?
The price you're charging on the part may have a slightly lower margin so that you could accommodate your market, but are people really looking seriously at your 115 and telling you, hey, your labor rate's too high? Is the labor margin compensating for the loss of parts margin?
Yes, it can if you pay attention to it. I feel like I need to raise my labor rate a little bit more so that we can, because I often see, and I'll throw numbers out there, but we average like maybe a 30 to 40% profit on parts. And if you look at the industry as a whole, they're going to tell you all different kinds of things, but that doesn't work for me. I could up my labor rate and keep charging the same for the parts and make more money, right? And then I can always discount it if I need to for the customer and just do it specifically on the labor rate, because that's something I can control a little bit better than I can control of parts. Because everybody can go on Amazon, right, and order parts. And we can sit there and say, no warranty, but we're getting to a point where, because we want to create that value and we want to offer those things, and how many times have you installed somebody's part and it's wrong? And then your lift is tied up, and right? We don't do it either. We just have to be aware of it, that it's the parts are so accessible to people, and often they can get it for not much more than what we're paying for it.
Especially the way e-commerce is available. I mean, you leave the shop, you run the part on e-commerce, and you find one of these extreme discounters, and you realize that, oh my God, I just way overpaid for a part. Now, not everyone's doing it. I mean, some people just want fix it. It just doesn't matter. But there are some. Maybe those some don't need to be your customers either.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah, we don't really look at e-commerce as a competitor. And again, to your point, Rachel, it's what works in your area. In my specific area, like we hold, 50+% on parts margins here. If I ever lose a job, so my mindset is that it's my responsibility. It's my responsibility to convey to the customer my value for the part that I charge. Yeah, sure, they can buy it down the street for way less, and it's still my responsibility to convey that message, right? So, and to your point, yeah, you're right. There's lots of people who don't care about warranty. They'll just get the cheapest thing. At the same time, they're not our clients, and they're more than welcome to go to other shops right next door, So
I used to say, well, you would never take your own hamburger to a restaurant or your own steak to a restaurant. I also think part of the service that we offer is there are so many parts available, and if you're not a professional, I've seen pictures of parts that say they're genuine Toyota parts, and you get them and they're stamped with something that's not even Toyota. They don't understand why it won't run. It's not just the warranty and the reliability and the safety. It's also, we want a part, we call our supplier, and it's there in 10 minutes. Yeah. So there's the times, the savings in labor. I think if we really thought we had to do business that way, I might be singing a different song. But we're busy enough not doing that. We never let people bring their own parts. And it's the simple thing is just our insurance company will not allow that. If we install a customer's part and it fails and there's a problem, we're responsible, whether or not we got the part or they did. You put that part in, you're responsible for it.
Because you're the professional.
Yeah. It's kind of like you wouldn't take your own knee into a knee replacement. I think we're kind of somewhere in the middle of taking a steak to a restaurant or taking in your own heart valve. This is safety and reliability.
Ladies, let me ask you a question about the pandemic and COVID and the new normal. And I know that we've been talking about the new normal. What's the new normal going to look like? But what's going to stick that, we've had to do? Or your world has changed, business has changed, customers' attitudes have changed. What's going to stick? Any ideas?
Wiping down the cars. Oh my gosh. I'll tell you a quick story. So when all this happened, I'm like, I got to get a new sanitizing system in place, right? We have to do all these things. So it just happened this way. So I decided to buy my whole team Max Burgers, which is a local place, and they're delicious, and everybody always says yes. So I buy the burgers, and I'm prepared to let them know our new process. So while they're shoveling down and moaning and groaning, I'm like, we need to talk about a new process, and I need you guys to think for a second about how gross people are. So I need you to think about what you do in your car when no one's looking, and then times that by 10, because that's what people are doing in their car, and then you're touching their steering wheel. And one of the guys just stopped and looked at me. He's like, we're eating lunch, right? And I'm like, I know, but you won't forget it. So it was like, that was the only time I've ever had to talk to him about it. And we had that whole process, but they realized in that, oh my gosh, you wiped down the steering wheel and it's just mind blowing how gross it is. I think that's going to stick. And if it doesn't, I'll be shocked. It will stick at my shop. Yeah, I promise you that.
We, of course, do that. That's just kind of the no-brainer. And our office is still closed. And we have, I think, 6 loaner cars. So now the loaner car agreement goes out on a DocuSign where they upload their documents. And for right now, we have magnetic hooks on our front door, and there's a keychain hanging out there that has a picture of the back end of their loaner cars. And we have a lot of Prius loaner cars. So it has the license plate, and it says, hello, here's the keys to your loaner car. They hang their hooks and the key drop, and we go out and get them. I think the really cool thing is this makes this be about less than a 5-minute turnaround. So somebody who's in a hurry on their way to work, we now forever have a process where they can get in and out as fast as they like. I do miss having people in. One of our big things was we've always had a cup of Starbucks for them in the office. So we don't have that now. And there's some people who still have a little bit of an issue with the technology aspect, but we have ways around that. We also have had shopware for years. So doing all of the contactless or remote business is very easy with that.
So to your point about the loaner cars, I definitely think that is an opportunity, more so than before. I think that this whole sense of the contactless stuff, so a lot of more digital, I guess, communications, right, is going to stick too. For me, though, you know what? The pandemic was, I mean, in and of itself, it's not a great thing. At the same time, I look at it as it was such a great blessing in the sense that it equalized the whole playing field, at least in my area. All of a sudden we had equal amounts of time, we had equal amounts of opportunity. Dealerships were closing in my area for a set time because of the retail side. And so it was just such an opportunity. But yeah, what's to come, I think, to your point, Jamie, about the loaner cars, same thing, Rachel, wiping down stuff, like that's all new stuff. And it's sort of, we've been doing it for this long for this bit. And so how do you then, even if you wanted to take it away, how would you?
So COVID's over, the vaccines are out, it's whatever day down the road it's going to be. I don't know if it's a year yet or whatever. And Rachel, you're still cleaning and wiping and you're doing whatever you can. Are you putting something in the vehicle on the seat saying, we want to let you know? I mean, post-COVID, is that another value add to say that, who the heck knows was in here, test driving my car? Again, I think that whole cleanliness value add has got to help some people that are, like you say, off the wall with the cleanliness thing. It's another attractiveness piece of your business. I've always said that your businesses are the neighborhood professional service center. They're not the dealership, although they may have the big plushy leather chairs and stuff. It's not necessarily always a warm relationship. It's a little cold because it's a cattle call. And I've always said, you're the neighborhood professional. And that reeks with the words relationship, tight. I know you. You're in the neighborhood. I worked on your dad's car. I'm going to work on your kid's car. Is the fact that we do business so touchless today going to hurt some of that and in the future?
I don't think so, just like Rachel's saying, because in my mind, it's just another opportunity. So, for example, we can do touchless things and we still need to have multiple touch points in between. So now it's just a question of how does that look like? One thing that I was talking to my team about is, so I have a background in psychology and, I was talking to the team about how, like, even when we do our calls like this, right, I can see you guys virtually on a little screen. And what psych tells us is that, for example, if people can see your hands, they tend to trust you more. So I've been telling myself, okay, when we get onto a screen, like make sure that you can see my hands because it's like, hey, I'm a friend. So there's little things that we can do to still kind of relate to people and be genuine with people, communicate with people. And so, we also use texting platforms to keep touch with our clients. We're really active on Facebook so that they can, see us and experience us. So it's different, agreed. And it's not lost.
I've had conversations with people, and I think the one thing that helps us maybe at Ervine's is that Megan and I are both yakkers. So if somebody's on the phone, and I think people just kind of want to talk lately. One lady's telling me all of her woes, and she's here from Colorado and her motorhome, this and that. And I said, well, it's been a pleasure speaking with you. And she goes, I have really enjoyed this. And then she had her hybrid towed in from 100 miles away. I think it's whoever you have in those positions that if you have to talk on the phone and that's really the only warmer communication you have it be somebody who enjoys doing that.
There's a great friend of the show and a friend of mine who calls me. He will not answer emails. He will not answer texts. He calls me. That's his preferred method. And we've almost relegated the phone to be nothing except a tool to communicate non-verbally. And I think to your point, and this could be a whole great strategy, a point that comes out of this podcast, is don't be afraid to put the phone back in the relationship with your customer because they probably need to hear your friendly, trusting voice about the transaction and not have this thing be totally, touchless doesn't mean voiceless.
Well, and it doesn't mean that you're not going to build a relationship. So everyone wants relationships. So to what Jamie said, you have to have the right people up front that are building the relationships with the customer. Someone that's, immediately very warm and fuzzy, and they make everyone feel like that's the only person that they're dealing with all day.
Research shows that, millennials and that generation, that they are more apt to go by text and, swiping generation, right, versus a phone. And so at our shop, we've talked about, well, what if, we leave them a video, right, of just, hey, because we have our digital inspections. So what if we leave a video of a quick, hey, my name is whatever, Emily, I'm working on your car today, and I'm going to be going through this inspection report. And so just so that you still have a dialogue or a face, but they're not necessarily they would rather order pizza online than call, right? So, we're trying to see, okay, how can we incorporate how they naturally like to communicate with relationship building?
I like the idea of a video. I don't think it's just millennials, because I think I don't like texting. But I think it's because I'll do voice to text. It's usually because I want to do other things while I'm texting. And I hate that I have to go back and correct it. A video, you don't really have to. I like that idea.
Great point. Hey, ladies, I want to wrap this up with the one of the ideas that we talked about early on. And Jamie, you were mentioning a change in a hiring process and using Zoom. And let's talk about that.
Well, the last 2 people we interviewed, we had a Zoom meeting with them and every other person that's at work. So even the other technicians. I actually got it from a special class that I took when COVID started that Greg Bunch taught. And it's a whole set of questions. It takes about 2 hours. We are so pleased with what we have now that we want every employee there to have a say in it as well. It's uncomfortable because that's not usually how we interview people, but I will do it again.
We're going to do a podcast coming up soon on a hiring process, and I'm glad you're mentioning this. You bring Zoom meetings with is it the entire staff?
It is, but our staff is not that big.
Is it the entire staff at once, or do they have to go through different meetings? Is it you and your husband and Megan? Is it everybody at the same time?
Yep. And we all have the questions, and we just kind of go down. We don't have them assigned, but it's kind of like we're just going to keep going around and
going
asking.
Down the list. I've heard some shop owners that will take, if they're hiring a technician and they get close to maybe a second interview, then they'll ask the other technicians to have a meeting with that candidate. And again, before COVID, think about it. Now you just use Zoom to pull it off. The hiring process may take longer, but yet you want an opinion from the people that they're going to work with, and let the person who is considering coming to work for you look at his team or her team.
And I think that's what we tell them in that Zoom meeting. If somebody comes to work for us, we want them to be as sure as possible that they're going to be happy working with us as well.
We actually have work trials at our place.
Yep, we do that too.
So yeah, but we haven't needed to hire since COVID, so I'm not sure how that's going to work out. But yeah, it's to your point about it's a two-way relationship, right? It's like dating. Right. So you gotta make sure that they fit with your team, make sure that, both ways. So having them on site is good too.
I heard about something cool that is relevant, and that is instead of having a whole bunch of resumes that you're looking through, actually asking for video resumes. A couple of things, a lot of people in our industry, especially technicians, they try to do resumes. Usually their spouse or significant other, right, is doing it for them. And you figure that out pretty quickly once you meet them. But if you can do a video resume, have someone record it and then email it to you, you can see a lot of things in that. You can see their environment and, how professional they are. You can see what they're wearing. And if they're a clean cut person, if they're going to fit into your culture, ask them to be super open, just tell you about themselves and make it just a couple minutes, and why you should work here. Maybe have a few questions. Hey, record yourself, do this little quick video for me. I don't know. I think that you could eliminate some of the processes.
Have you tried that?
No, I learned about that, and that came to my attention after I already hired a third technician and another advisor during the pandemic. My advisor, she was working at one of the dealers for 15 years and got fired. And I saw her resume on Indeed, and I was like, I I need to talk to her. I don't know if I can afford her, but I need to talk to her.
Emily brought up a point earlier about being introverted, and you may get someone who's so good with their hands, a great diagnostician, and they just love to live in their world, and they're really good at what they do. And you say, hey, do a selfie video for me and send it to me and tell me a little bit about you. You may lose that candidate. And I would love for anyone in the industry that has either done this, wants to do it, wants to try it, reach out to me, carm@remarkableresults.biz. Maybe we need to do a podcast on how it works and the ramifications of it. And if you hired and if you didn't, did you lose a candidate because they were a little shy? But you know what? That goes to not the new normal, but we can't get together to start with. Just don't stop by. Let me give you a hug and shake your hand. Just send me a quick video. And if we're going to start hiring the younger people of our industry, going back to the video you want to send with the DVI, Jamie, this, again, it's a great idea. And it's the way to communicate with our new generation.
Could be a good third or fourth option.
Yeah. It's all about options, right, at this point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's all about, there's no one great answer. I mean, there's a million of them. And if they work, try them. Make it constitution in your business if it works for you. And build that better mousetrap. Ladies, thank you so much for being here. Jamie Carlson from Irving's Auto Repair, Grand Rapids. Emily Chung from Auto Niche in Markham, Ontario. Rachael Wacha, City Auto Repair, Gainesville, Florida. Ladies, I had a blast. Thank you. You brought a ton of great insight to the show and to the industry. Now, should we do this again?
Absolutely.
Love to.
Because there were only like 30 more topics that I thought we could have covered.
You wind us up, get us going.
That's what I started to realize here. It's a great, great panel. Thank you so much, ladies.
Nice meeting you, girls.
Yeah,
girls, women, whatever.
Ladies.
Ladies.
Bye.
Thanks for being on board to listen and learn from the premier automotive aftermarket podcast. Until next time.